Well, we begin with the recovery efforts from the major storm that struck yesterday in parts of central Canada. High winds in combination with icy conditions knocked over trees, scattered debris, and downed power lines. Now a rush is underway to restore electricity for over 1 million customers in Quebec. The Greater Montreal area saw most of the power outages and damage. The storm also claimed the life of a man in his 60s after he was hit by a falling branch while cleaning up his property. We heard from Quebec Premier François Legault on that death earlier today. He urged caution and said people must be careful and patient throughout the cleanup process.
We have to be very careful. Yes, if it's possible, you have to move your car if there's work to do in the area, but be careful, especially when there's some electricity around or trees around.
Legault says he expects 70 to 80% of people to have electricity back by tomorrow night. The Prime Minister is in Montreal observing the damage in his home riding of Papineau. He spoke earlier with reporters alongside the city's mayor.
The federal government is here to help if needed. There hasn't been any formal requests yet, but obviously I will be sitting down with the Premier in a couple of hours to talk about anything that we can do. I know the province and the City of Montreal have a tremendous amount of great teams on the ground doing the work. Hydro-Quebec is on it, but we will be there to support as necessary. I think the most important thing is to see yet again what happens in times of difficulty, neighbors helping neighbors. If someone's got power and the others don't, we see them helping out. This is going to be a time for us all to pull together to be safe.
I invite the population to be careful also because it's dropping. There could be some ice falling from trees, but also from the wire. And by the way, it's not a good day to go in parks. Please, and it's going to take a while before we clean up all the parks. So that's very important.
Oh Just as they were wrapping up, some ice, as you can see, fell on the mayor and the Prime Minister. Plante is also urging people to get their vehicles off city streets to aid the cleanup, but she says no one will be ticketed today if they can't. CBC's Kwabina Oduro is following the cleanup efforts for us from Montreal.
I am in Notre-Dame-de-Grâce borough in Montreal, and yes, it is a mess. I've been traveling a lot of the streets, but I just want to show you again what this damage looks like over here. Downed trees. This is what it looks like across this borough. Downed trees. Even in that car over there suffered extensive damage. Telephone wires, electricity wires, all down. And I'm here with Ben Waldman. He is someone who lives just over where the damage happened. Thank you for doing this, Ben. What can you tell us about what happened yesterday early evening? It was
crazy. It was actually more in the afternoon. I'm on a conference call in my office in the front there, and all of a sudden it sounded like one of those huge snow plows that shakes the whole house. And came outside and saw this absolute Armageddon. There was actually a white car here that got affected as well, but really scary stuff. There's a daycare up the road and they walk down here every day, and thank God nobody got hurt.
And what can you tell us about the damage that happened in your area? And did you check in on your neighbors? How are they doing? And electricity?
Yep. Everybody's okay in the immediate area, but like you said, lots of trees down, lots of electrical wires and things like that. Our backyard had some really big trees. We just finished moving them out, but we're blessed. Nobody's hurt, everything's okay, so we're really happy.
And just quickly, how scary was it in the moment? You said it sounded like an earthquake.
Yeah. Intense, very intense. And then I had to go pick up the kids at school because the power was out. So that was a fun drive with everything on the on the roads. So, but everybody got home safe. So again, we're blessed.
There you have it. There is a resident who was there live when things happened, and you can just hear the emotion in his voice when he talks about how scary the moment was, how it sounded like an earthquake. And many Montrealers were feeling that as the trees started to topple down and hit cars. I just went to some of the streets in Notre-Dame-de-Grâce where I am, and city crews are there. They're chopping up trees and they're getting trees off cars by cutting them, and they're really working hard to try and clean up the mess. But as you know, as you can see, this mess is not going to be easy to clean. Energy Minister Pierre Fitzgibbon says that it's going to take some time to make this cleanup.
It's pretty severe for Montreal. The good news, so to speak, is that 25% of the breakdowns are for 1,000 clients or more. meaning it's very concentrated, that this juncture have operated. So we're comfortable that, first of all, there's enough people on the ground. There's about 557 teams right now on the ground. Over 1,000 employees are working towards the restoration.
Other neighborhoods are dealing with some of the same things. This is not an isolated situation, what we're seeing here. There are many other boroughs that are dealing with cars that are buried by trees, lack of electricity. So now people are really opening up community centers. Food banks are opening up, offering people hot meals, warming centers. So people are really coming together as a community. I even saw people in NDG helping other community members by cutting down trees, some good Samaritan acts. So people are really coming together in this time of something bad that has happened in Montreal with this ice storm.
That was the CBC's Quabino Oduro in Montreal for us. Well, Jim Bass is the mayor of Pierrefonds Roxborough on Montreal's West Island. He described the situation in his community to us earlier today.
Well, to situate folks, we're in the northwestern tip of the island of Montreal. We are an older community of about 75,000 people. We have the second largest canopy of trees on the island of Montreal. We're privileged to have that. However, it also comes with its problems, like we've seen throughout this whole crisis, and not only in my community, but throughout the island of Montreal. So, of course, we have similar issues as what was described earlier on the show. We have down branches throughout the territory. Virtually most of the citizens in my community are without power. Our crews are working tirelessly since yesterday to make sure that the public access is available and is safe, so that not only they can navigate through their communities, but also emergency vehicles. And so that is an ongoing issue for us here. For those that may or may not know our community, we also have 30 kilometers of waterfront, and we were one of the hardest hit communities in Quebec in terms of flooding in 2017, which we have since found solutions, or albeit temporary solutions. But we have, a series of pump houses throughout the territory that we have to make sure, even though they have no power, we have generators and make sure that they are operating to avoid any backflow from the river should that occur during this crisis. And so these types of things are ongoing in our community. I mean, the warming shelters, as you mentioned earlier, we have designated areas in case of emergency or in state of emergencies to make sure that we mobilize and house people. But all of these facilities are also without power. And so we're looking at some of the options with Civil Security Montreal to equip one of these facilities with a temporary generator, for example, and that won't happen immediately. It's going to take some time. Our city hall, where I am here today, is equipped with a major generator that powers this building in case of emergency, that we mobilize our teams here and create a hub, if you will. And we have some folks that have come in through the front door to ask questions and at the same time sit in our lounge and charge some electronics.